Welcome back to the Starr Personal Finance channel. On this channel, we talk everything personal finance. My name is Starr. Thank you for joining me for this latest edition of, I don't know, what do I want to call it? Because the scammers don't take no day off. The foolery never stops. It's always something all the time out here in these financial streets. So let me cut on my light, make sure you guys can see me. And also, if you guys can hear me, please drop a heart in the chat. Let me know that you can hear me good. And also, let me know where you are streaming this live from. So I really do appreciate it. So we got to get into it. Y'all already know what it's about. If you're on TikTok or any of these social media platforms, you probably have already seen the so-called Chase free money glitch that has taken place over this Labor Day weekend, starting as early as Thursday, sometime Thursday, going into this Labor Day weekend. So I'm a little late talking about this because really and truly, I didn't see it until yesterday. I've been busy this whole weekend. So I didn't even see anything about it until yesterday. But I was teaching a class yesterday. So I was not able to tap in with you guys until today after I closed my shop. So we're here. We're going to talk about it now. So the Chase free money glitch. Let's talk about it. I'm going to talk to you guys. You know, if you're not new to my channel, I'm going to talk to you guys from the banking standpoint because that is my lane. I worked in banking for 15 years. So this is my lane. I'm going to talk to you from the banking standpoint of what's going to go on with this so-called glitch. Okay. So again, if you guys can hear me, see me, let me know because this is live. This is not a recording. This is live. So if you can hear me and see me, please drop me your heart. Let me know where you are streaming in from. Give me some love on that like button as well so that this video get pushed out to more viewers. So let me start off today's live with a video clip that I seen. So let's do that. So let's start today's live off with this video clip that I seen. And let me go ahead and put a disclaimer on here before we even get started that some of these videos do have some profanity in it that we're going to see. And I apologize in advance, okay? Because you know, a lot of these come from TikTok. So a lot of these creators, they do use profanity in their TikTok. So again, I apologize in advance. Again, guys, if y'all can hear me, if y'all can see me, go ahead and drop a heart in the chat. And also let me know where are you streaming in from. And also push that thumbs up, guys. Get this video out there to some other people that may not know what's going on. And so that everybody is in the know. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's look at this first video together.
Nah, I said it's heavy. Niggas is lined up. No, this shit is elephant. No, only let niggas in one by one.
All right. So that's just showing you guys a clip, right, of the line that was outside of one of a Chase branch. There was a line outside of one of the Chase branches. And so that what that clip right there was all about. So when I seen that clip, I was like, Lord, have we lost our whole mind when I saw what these people were doing? So the whole Chase glitch, if you guys are not aware of what it was. So the whole Chase glitch was supposed to be that people were writing a check to themselves off their own bank account and depositing the check into their account via the ATM machine. And once they put the check into the account, they were able to withdraw funds off of those checks. Now, some of those checks were for crazy amount of money. I'm saying upwards of 10,000, 20,000. I've seen people talk about 50,000. I mean, I've seen some really stupid numbers. I even seen somebody put a check in their account for $1 million, like legit. Okay. So some of these checks were going through, and allegedly, some people were able to withdraw some money after depositing the check off of their own account. So essentially, they was writing a bad check off their own account. And for whatever reason, whatever crazy reason that they thought that this was a glitch, or that Chase was not going to be able to draw the lines and all that stuff together, and they thought that they was going to be able to get away with this fraud, because that's what it is, it's fraud. For whatever reason, or why somebody told them, I don't know what went down, but for their reason, they thought that they would be able to get away with this fraud. So I think what's really going on is, again, guys, if y'all are tuning in, if y'all can hear me, please let me know by dropping me a heart. Let me know where you're from. And also give this video a thumbs up. And so I'm trying to wrap my mind around this, because from working in banking, the time that I worked in banking, knowing about the banking system, and as far as educational wise is, I feel like we are dropping the ball. We are dropping the ball, because this right here happened because of a lack of financial knowledge and a lack of how banks work. This was not a glitch. This was not a glitch at all. Not a glitch. What this was is, this was somebody, and I'm not saying that this is what actually happened. I'm just saying, from my standpoint, from a banking standpoint, this is what I feel happened. Okay, so a person with a Chase bank account wrote a check, and they deposited that check that they wrote to themselves into the account, knowing that they didn't have the money, into the ATM, and it gave them money. And if they never thought, if they never done that before, let's put it like that. If they never done that before, if they never wrote a check to themselves, put it in the ATM machine, and it gave them money, if they never thought that before, or never done it before, is the better word, never done it before, all of a sudden, because it worked, they thought it was a glitch. And that's how rumors and misinformation get started. They thought it was a glitch, and it was not a glitch. But because they never done it before, they assumed that it was a glitch. They probably never put a check in their account, wrote off their own account into the ATM machine before. Not a outside check, but a check that was their own. And so they may not even know there was a thing. It could have been them just trying something, you know, and seeing if it was going to work. Or it could have been somebody coercing somebody to do it on their account to see if it would work. They might not even had a Chase account and got somebody else to do it, right? And so once it worked, and they was able to withdraw cash out of that account, from the ATM, they assumed that it was a glitch, because when they wrote the check, it was a bad check off the top. They had no idea that this check wasn't any good. I'm sorry. They knew the check wasn't any good. They didn't think that Chase knew the check wasn't any good, and therefore gave them money, right? That's what happened. So in their mind, they knew the check wasn't any good. And because Chase gave them money, they thinking that Chase thought the check was good, and therefore they thought it was a glitch. So this is where we're at right now. They thought it was a glitch based off that information. But really what happened is, from the banking standpoint, what happened is, it's called check availability, or funds availability. Whenever you deposit any kind of check into your account, whether that's a payroll check, Somebody wrote you a check, you got a refund check, whatever kind of check it is. Whenever you put a check into your account and you make a deposit, there's something called funds availability. And if you go inside an actual bank branch, you will actually see signs on the teller windows, and it should be telling you what the funds availability is on your deposits. Because by law, they have to let you know when your funds will be available. So some funds are available that same day, that same business day. Some funds are available next business day, and some funds are available even on the second business day. It just depends on the bank's funds availability, whatever their rule is. Okay, whatever their rule is, how soon your money is going to be available for you to withdraw. So, how do you find out about your bank account funds availability? Well, if you ever go inside of a branch, like I said, they usually have them posted on the teller windows, and it may say deposits made um, on the business day are available this business day or whatever, or they might say it's available by the second business day. It's going to tell you, or you can ask one of the tellers or either somebody in customer service, and they should let you know, if I deposit this check, how soon will it be available for me to withdraw cash? So we're talking about funds availability inside of the ATM machine, right? So with Chase, which most people probably wouldn't think about doing this, but because I worked in banking, I did. I actually Googled Chase fees, their schedule of fees, because it's public knowledge. And I also Googled their funds availability. Like, how does their system work? Because I don't have an actual bank account with Chase. Now, I got 5 credit cards with them, but I do not have an actual checking account with them or a savings account. I just got 5 credit cards with them, because you can have credit cards with them without having a actual banking relationship. Now, they probably send me a bonus offer almost twice a month trying to get me to get a checking account with them, but I don't need one. I have banks that I prefer, and they just so happen to not be one of those banks. But I do like their credit card products. I do. I really do. So that's where we at with that. So I had to actually pull up their fees, and I also pulled up their account availability for funds for their deposits. Okay. So a lot of people are not going to do this, especially like when you first open up an account. Like I always tell you guys, we don't like to read the terms and conditions. We don't like to do none of that stuff, right? We just want whatever it is that we want, and we move along. But it's very important to know what these things mean, because that's what happened to these people. They did not understand funds availability. And that's what happened. What they presumed was a glitch was something that Chase has in their funds availability. So let's look at that. Let's look at this. Let's look at Chase's funds availability. All right. So right here, and this is Chase deposit account agreement, but I've already just put it right there on their funds availability policy. Okay, their rules for their availability, right? So when your deposit is received, if you make a deposit with a banker at a branch on a business day, we will consider that day to be the day of your deposit. If you make a deposit on a business day before our cutoff time at Chase ATM, we will consider that day to be the day of your deposit. Okay. So that's the key word. If you make a deposit on a business day before our cutoff time at a Chase ATM, we will consider that day to be the day of your deposit. However, right here, if you make a deposit on a day that is not a business day, or make an ATM deposit after the ATM cutoff time, we will consider the deposit to have been made on the next business day. So basically, what Chase is saying is, if you make a deposit, we are considering that same day credit. Okay, we're giving you a same day credit. All right. For determining the availability of your deposits, every day is a business day except Saturdays and Sundays and federal holidays. And that's because the Federal Reserve are closed on those days, right? So that's why they do not include those days. So, with this being a long holiday weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and even Monday, this yesterday, would be a day that funds would be held over until today being Tuesday. So if you did make a deposit Saturday, Sunday, and yesterday, those funds could have been held and not been credited to you until today. Okay. So for deposits and transfers at most ATMs, the cutoff time is 11 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. Pacific time. For ATMs with the earlier cutoff, the ATM screen will notify you of the cutoff time. So whenever you're making a deposit, most of their ATMs, as they said, the cutoff time is at 11 o'clock at night. So as long as you made the deposit on a business day before 11 p.m., they're going to give you credit that day, even if whatever you're putting in the ATM as a deposit, especially a check, they are in good faith giving you credit for this, that it is a good instrument, that the check is a good check. That's what's going on, right? It says deposits placed in the night depository, like a drop box, are considered received when they are removed from the night depository and remove deposits no later than the next business day. Okay. So that's the funds availability. So this is the glitch that they thought it was, but really and truly, they don't know what funds availability is. If they knew that this policy was already here, they would know it's not a glitch. It is their policy. Now, there are exceptions to this policy too, now. Okay. So longer delays may apply. Right here, it says for all accounts other than Chase Analysis banking checking accounts with or without interest, in some cases may not make all of the funds that you deposit by check available the first business day after the day of your deposit. Funds may not be available until the second business day. As I was telling you guys, sometimes it's the first day, sometimes the second, and sometimes it's even the third. And after the day of your deposit. However, the first 225 of these deposits will be available on the first business day. So if they are going to hold your money, right? Say you have a check over $5,000, that's usually, what can flag a hold, especially if you don't already have that kind of money in your account. So what they would do is, of the 5,000, they will make 225 of that available the very first day. And after the day of your deposits, unless we delay availability for one of the circumstances that's listed down here below. You will need you will need the funds from a deposit right away. You should ask us when the funds will be available, but further review of the deposit after receive it may still result in delayed availability. So it's still at the discretion of the bank. Even though their policy up here says that we will give you same day deposit, they still have some delays. So what are those delays? We believe a check you deposited will not be paid, a bad check. They're trying to avoid you from bank fees and your account going into the negative, right? So this is a way for them to try to prevent that from happening, because if they take a check and they don't think that, especially if you go inside of a branch and they think that the check is not going to clear, well, it's best to put it on the hold just to be on the safe side for you, especially if you don't have the money in your account to cover it, right? You deposit checks totaling more than 5,525 in any one day. Okay, so that can be a red flag, especially if you're not a business. That's why they said Chase Analysis business checking, right? Um, that's why I say other than those, because we know businesses can make larger deposits. You redeposited a check that has already returned unpaid. Okay, so that could happen. You have overdrawn your account repeatedly in the last 6 months. So you keep your account in the negative all the time. So they don't have trust in what you're putting in your account is going to actually be a good instrument, right? There is an emergency such as a failure of communications or our system. So if Chase really and truly had a glitch, what will happen is, from the banking standpoint, that line right there, if there's an emergency such as a failure of communication or our systems, their system will go in standby mode. So what standby mode is, that means that they will not give you more than $225 out of your account. Even if you have the money in your account, if their systems were to go offline, they're going to make sure that nobody is taking more money out than they can actually verify, because we know systems do go down. All right. I worked in banking, like I said, for 15 years. So I can tell you the times that our computer system had went down. And when customers are coming in, members are coming in, we can't pull up their actual account because the system is down. Some of us, we knew because they came in often, kind of sort of what their account is, especially if they had really high balances. But if we didn't know, we would have to go into the standby mode, which is usually no more than $200. So we're not talking about a glitch here. We're talking about people not understanding how banking works. Okay? That's what's going on. They don't know how banking works. So Chase allows their customers, when you make a deposit in their ATM, they will usually give you same day deposit credit in good faith that what you're depositing is a good check. Now, with that being said, checks got to go through a whole system. But here's the thing, when you write a check on your own account, they call that a on us check. On dash US, on us. So that means that the check you wrote is on the financial institution from which you already have an account with. So if I'm an account holder at Chase and I take a checkbook out and I write pay to the order to cash and I write out that dollar amount, I sign the front, I sign the back, that check is going to come directly out of my account. It's going to clear immediately because it's not being sent to Bank of America. It's not being sent to whoever, Wells Fargo. It's a check I wrote on my own bank account there with Chase. So these people that put these checks in the ATM off of their own account, they didn't realize funds availability, and also that this is an on us check, which means it does not have to go anywhere to clear, right? The only thing is, say they wrote it, put it in the ATM Friday after the actual bank closed, but via Chase's availability and their ATM cutoff, which they said that their ATM cutoff for most of their ATMs is 11 p.m. So they are still allowing deposits to go through after 11 p.m., right? So the bank could have closed. I don't know what time Chase banks closed, but 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever. You can still make a deposit in the ATM and still get the same business day as long as it's on a Friday. On a Saturday, a Sunday, and a holiday, it's going to be next day credit, right? So if these scammers on Friday just figured this out, that they could put a check into the ATM, drawing off their own account, and they were able to get cash, this is not a glitch. This is in their funds availability policy. And as long as you did not have any of these exceptions that we just talked about right here, there was no reason for them to hold the check, right? Because if you've never been in, it says if you haven't overdrawn your account repeatedly in the last 6 months, redeposited an already returned check, deposit checks totaling more than $5,525 in any one day. Now, depending on how long you had the account, they may still let the $5,000 check go through, because some people, even though you don't carry that kind of money in your account, you may have still had your account for a very long time, been a very good customer, and still be allowed to allow large items to clear in your account just because you have a good relationship with the bank. That happens all the time. Okay. So even there's exceptions to the exceptions. Okay. So any of these people that has actually committed any of these frauds over the weekend, if they actually at some point kept their account in very good standing, they may have still been able to let these ATM checks drawn off their own account would have slid through, right? So the so-called glitch was not a glitch. It's the policy, and it is their ATM policy to let to let this go on till 11 o'clock on every business day. Like I said, exception of the holiday and exception of the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. All right. So let's look at one other thing, and that I want to present to you. And that is ATM. Their ATM. Okay. So these people that were able to get a lot of money, as they call it out here, as these young people call it, racks or whatever, right? These people were able to get a lot of money. Like, say Friday, they put the check in and it gave them same day credit, right? Now, they put it in the ATM. Chase, this is on their fee schedule. This is Chase's fee schedule that I got up here right now. So I'm looking at the card purchase and withdrawal limits, right? So ATM withdrawal time is a 24-hour time. So in 24 hours, wherever your bank gives you as a limit on your debit card is the amount that you can withdraw. Now, some ATMs have a limit and say, okay, you can't withdraw more than $500. I don't care what your card allows you to withdraw, but this ATM won't let you withdraw more than $500. But these people were going to Chase ATM. So Chase ATMs must have high withdrawal limits, more than $500, because it says if you have a Chase debit card, a Chase Disney debit card, a Chase Star Wars debit card, a Chicago Skyline card that's for Illinois only, Chase in branch ATM limit is $3,000. So they will let you get $3,000 out at the ATM. All right. Other Chase ATM limit is $1,000. Non-Chase ATM limits is 500 or 1,000 if you live in Connecticut, New Jersey, or New York. If you have these other types, Chase Sapphire Banking Debit Card, 3,000. Chase Private Client, that's usually the really rich people, right? 3,000. And then you got Chase First Banking Debit Card, that's $100, usually for somebody with a really, young account. And then Chase ATM card, $3,000, right? So they allow you to get pretty high limits out of the ATM. So ATM withdrawals comes in, like I said, 24-hour period. So say if they deposited the fraud check in their account on Friday, right? And then it became available, as long as they did it before 11 p.m. via Chase's policy that we just read, funds availability policy, right? They could withdraw $3,000 that night. And then say the next day, after 24 more hours, they could withdraw another $3,000 because they gave them same day availability, right? Funds availability on that Friday. Friday night, they could have got 3,000. Saturday, they could have got 3,000. Sunday, they could have got 3,000. And then yesterday, Monday, they could have got 3,000. So that's that's $12,000. That's 4 different ATM withdrawals. So depending on how high they wrote this check for, they could have got at least up to $12,000 because of the ATM limit, right? Now, here we go. Tuesday morning. After a holiday. What happens is now the bank is playing catch up from all the transactions that has taken place normally over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, because there are branches, that be open on Saturday as well. So they got to catch up with all these deposits, night deposits, ATM deposits, and all this stuff is now going through the whole process. Now, on us, what I told you, when you write a check off your own account and deposit it for cash, or not deposit it, but do it as a withdrawal for cash or a deposit, they consider that on us. Those checks usually get processed before any other outside checks, right? So any check that you might deposit that was drawn on Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they're going to check the checks that are drawn on Chase first, including your own check. So you say you got a payroll check and they happen to bank with Chase. That check's going to clear first too, because they're going to clear their own checks first. So these people that wrote these checks off their own account didn't realize that these checks do not have to go through the whole process of going to another bank, like a check that you write off your own account. It's almost like immediately. Okay. So, with that being said, these people that did successfully do this so-called glitch are now waking up to a negative balance. If they didn't wake up to a negative balance before now, before today, Tuesday, right? Because those systems are going to check. And I'm pretty sure that with Chase being the largest bank in the United States and the fourth largest bank in the country, okay, Chase is the oldest bank. They out here playing around with the oldest and the most richest institution in this United States, and the largest number four next to the China banks. Okay, they out here playing in Chase's face. Chase probably got systems for all this stuff. Chase deal with a lot of wealthy people. Okay, this is $1 trillion bank. This is $1 trillion bank with a T. They number one, Bank of America is number two, and Wells Fargo is number three. And I want to say Citigroup might be number four, but I'm not sure. But the top three, Chase, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo, those are your top $3 trillion banks in the United States. Okay, so with that being said, Chase is not going to play around with these people about their money. Okay, just because they don't understand banking. And so the so-called glitch that was not a glitch is going to land them in check fraud. So some of these other people, some of the other things that I actually had ran up on was that they thought that this was not traceable. Like, whenever this glitch was supposed to get resolved, that they were not going to be able to see the check, and the money that was taken off was going to get zeroed out, and all this fairy tale stuff that I was seeing on TikTok. Okay, all this fairy tale stuff. And I'm like, now how would they? Okay, we just got to take a minute and pause and really and truly use our brain, because we all have one. Let's use our brain for a minute. If you write a check on your own account that's linked to your name, your address, your everything, because when you open up an account, you got to give them all your personal information, right? Why would you think they would not be able to trace anything back to you if this was a glitch? If it was, when you use everything, when you put a check into a ATM machine, it scans it in, right? Any deposit, it's scanning the money to make sure, if you say it's $1,000, it's scanning the bills to make sure that it adds up to be $1,000 once you put the money in. If you say you deposit 1,000, it's scanning the bills for the faces, for everything that got something to do with money. It knows it's money and not paper money. It knows it's not fake money, right? It's scanning it. Same thing it's going to do with the check. It's scanning it to make sure that it is a check. And that check is inside of the ATM. It's not giving you the check back because the check is still has to be ran through the system. And that way you have the electronic image of the check, right? Front and back. So if you go check your online banking, you should be able to see the image of the check, right? So why wouldn't they not be able to trace that back to the account holder? Why wouldn't they? So that was the stupid thing. When I was like, they didn't think that it could be caught, or whenever this so-called glitch was going to be over, that people that that these people that chased the bank was not going to be able to find out who the accounts were. That was stupid. Or that once the glitch was over, it was going to just zero the money out that was actually taken out of those ATM machines, and it was just going to be like, oh, don't worry about it. Is it okay? They got it. It's all right. Our bad. That's our fault. We just lost that money. No, y'all, that's not how this works. The banks is not in the business of losing money. It's called federal time. It's called prison. Because whenever you write a bad check, whenever you write a bad check, or if somebody give you a bad check, you're on the hook for it. It's not a too bad, so sad. It's a you owe us our money back, because in good faith, we're cashing this check in good faith that you have the money to cover it. Even your payroll checks, right? You bring in a payroll check if you don't have direct deposit, or sometimes when you just starting a job and they give you what they call a live paper check and you take it in the bank, they are taking this check in good faith that this check is good and giving you an advance on this check, not knowing if this check is going to actually clear at that particular moment when the teller takes your check, right? So they giving you the money in good faith that this check is going to be good. That's what's happening here, right? So any check you deposit, whether it's your check, whoever's check, they're giving it to you in good faith that the check is going to clear. If the check comes back, now say you deposited the check and you didn't actually withdraw the money, you just deposited it into your account. Well, what they'll do is they'll reverse the money back out your account, charge you a fee for the check being returned, right? And then now you'll get a return check copy. It won't be the actual check anymore because the check will be converted to an electronic form of a check. And then you have to go after the person that gave you the bad check to get your money back. But the bank is all about becoming back whole. The bank is trying to become back whole again, right? So they're not going to straight up just let a bad check come through and be like, oh man, well, we just lost that. No, they're gonna get their money back. They're gonna get it out of you. And then and like I said, and if somebody wrote you a bad check, it's up to you to get it back out of them. Take them to court or whatever, you know what I'm saying? For a bad check, for a worthless check. Take them to the worthless check division, okay? Something like that. But that's how that thing works, right? That's how it works. So what people thinking is fraud is just them not knowing how the banking system works. And us, as people of color, you know, black and brown people, we have always been underbanked. Okay, we've always been underbanked. We've always used alternative banking solutions like payday, what they got, payday folks, check cashing, even cashing checks at the liquor store, grocery store, wherever you could cash a check at, other than having a real bank account. So a lot of times now we getting these real bank accounts and we don't know how they work, or we got these young people that don't know how checks work, how funds availability works, and none of this stuff. Is a whole lot of miseducation in the financial system that's going on. And that's why these kids or whoever is starting these so-called trends are thinking that these are glitches. These are not glitches. Now, what's going to happen is Chase is going to end up changing its funds availability policy now. I can see that happening. Chase is going to rectify this so-called glitch by changing its funds availability in its ATM deposits. That's what's going to happen. So nobody's getting away with this. Nobody's getting away. Nobody's getting away with this. Please understand. What's going to happen is Chase is going to change their funds availability policy, and they're probably going to wind up holding all checks that get deposited into their ATM and only give you the 225 or whatever next business day. It's probably going to be something like that. Like legit. Because it's always what they say is always one bad apple that can spoil the whole barrel. And that's what's going on right now. You got people that don't understand how the banking system works, you know, don't have no idea how this banking system works. And they're going to mess it up for everybody, especially people that always use the ATM to do their business. They don't go inside of a branch. They don't do branch banking. They don't have time. They put their money in the ATM. It could be they might do contracting work and they might get a check every time they do the contracting work and they put it in the ATM, they get their money out. It's always a good check. Now, these people are not going to be able to do that because their funds availability policy, I guarantee you, will update. And I'm going to keep the one that I just showed you guys on the screen. I'm going to keep this one on my computer because I'm looking forward to a future update on their funds availability, especially for their ATM deposits. I'm looking forward to seeing that being changed because of this. Because of this. So let's read about what Chase's response is. Shall we? Let's do that. All right. So this article says Chase Bank says it is aware of viral glitch, inviting people to commit check fraud. Okay. In the statement, the bank said that depositing a fraudulent check is still fraud, plain and simple. Okay. Plain and simple. So this article came out by NBC News, as you can see, today around 2 p.m. this afternoon. So Chase Bank is urging its customers to not commit check fraud. Do not follow these TikTok scams telling you to tap in. You know, these Twitter, well, X, whatever they call themselves now, and Instagram and all these different platforms that's telling you to tap in, tap in, tap in. And these people don't have no idea what they're talking about and gonna have your butt in trouble. Okay. The bank, please. The bank's plea comes after this weekend a viral trend took over TikTok and X, formerly Twitter, with users being told that there was a system-wide glitch and that if they deposited false checks in an ATM and withdrew the money soon afterward, they would be able to cheat the system and take out a large sum of cash before the check bounced. The only problem, this is not a glitch. It's a check fraud scheme, and those who participate will be on the hook for all the money they withdrew once the check bounces. So once those on us checks clear, if you wrote it off your own bank account, like the majority of the ones that I had been seeing, that's what they were doing. It done cleared up today. And now you owe this money. Your account now is sitting in the beautiful red. Okay. Although some on TikTok called the scheme a glitch, Chase reminded its customers that this glitch is actually an invitation to commit fraud. Okay. We are aware of this incident and it has been addressed. A spokesperson for Chase said in a statement to NBC News, regardless of what you see online, depositing a fraudulent check and withdrawing the funds from your account is fraud, plain and simple. NBC News has not verified if anyone actually committed the crime as part of the viral trend. However, videos online purported to show people successfully withdrawing cash from an ATM after depositing a fraudulent check into their own bank account, before others quickly pointed out that what they were doing was a crime. While conversation about the glitch has taken over TikTok, It appears the first mention of it was on X, when a user shared an excessive balance of more than $80,000 in his account on Thursday, according to the meme database Know Your Meme. One video appeared to show lines forming outside of a Chase branch in New York, suggesting people was flocking to the branch to get free money. Now that's the video that I first showed when I first started this live. Just as quickly as the trend took off, however, people were soon posting screenshots of massive negative balances and holes on their check accounts as a result of allegedly trying to withdraw the money. Okay. So as I was telling you, this is the largest bank in the United States. So I wouldn't even think that they would wait till the day to sell up those systems. I'm figuring like if they did it a Friday, it's probably showing a negative that Saturday, even though the bank's closed. Okay. Because this bank got too much money to not have the best technology. Okay. Like let's just keep it 100. We be playing in these big bank face, just like people playing in Navy Fed bank face. When Navy Fed is the largest credit union in the world, we're playing in Chase face, like they're not the largest bank in the U.S. We just playing in these people's face, and they're gonna and in the words of Kevin Hart, y'all gonna learn today. I don't know what these people think writing bad checks is, but I don't know why they thought this was a glitch. One TikTok user said, definitely don't do it. Fake check deposits are a common form of fraud, of check fraud, and are not new. Although the chaos of this weekend saw many online discover the tactic for the first time and mistaking it for a money hack. And so some of us old heads, we have failed to teach our young generation about checks because it's not as popular as a thing now. You know, most of the times when you open up a checking account, it's just people want to get the debit card. I still write check. I write 3 checks a month, right? And it's for a paper trail for me because that's what most checks are for, a paper trail, right? So maybe us old heads need to teach our young kids again about how the check system works. Or they wind up getting themselves in real serious trouble. It's like I was saying at the beginning of the live, somebody discovered that they can put a check in the ATM they probably didn't realize they could do. And they think it was a glitch, and it's not. Okay. So large checks deposited digitally are often placed on hold while the bank reviews their authenticity. I can't say this word, y'all. Authenticity. But some ATMs allow customers to access a portion of the newly deposited funds immediately. This allows users to quickly withdraw the money before their check clears or bounces. So here we go. ATMs allow customers to access a portion of the newly deposited funds immediately. That's what we were just talking about, the funds availability policy. Okay. Chase's funds availability policy, an easy Google search away, because that's how I got it. Right. Fraudsters often approach this by opening bank accounts with fake identities, creating, depositing counterfeit checks from seemingly legitimate sources, and then abandoning the account and leaving it with a negative balance. Another common trick involves a scammer pretending that they sent a check for a greater amount than they meant to, hoping that the recipient is willing to deposit the check and transfer the excess money, which would ultimately lead the victim out of their own funds after the check bounces. Both in this case, people online seem to be simply committing check fraud against themselves, making it relatively easy for a bank to catch on and hold them accountable. In the days after the Chase glitch gained traction, other TikTokers began dunking on those who tried it, with some joking about waking up with enormous negative balances and others warning users that they had no chance of outsmarting the multinational banking institution. Chase Bank glitch. No, that's called fraud. One TikTok user said in a video that accrued more than 1 million likes in one day. You went to the bank, took 50,000 that didn't belong to you. That's not a life hack. That's called robbery. You're going to jail, prison, actually. So, and they right. Because what's going to happen is, you know, let's keep it 100. whatever money that you actually got out of the account. Let's say you wrote the check for 50,000 and you accessed the 12,000 that I was saying if you did the 3,000 every day and you actually was able to access 12,000 out of the 50,000. Well, they can always take back the 38,000 part of it and put you on the hook for 12. But you're now going to have to come up with 12,000. Now, this is just a scenario that I'm making up right now. This is just a scenario. So that means that they can take any future deposits that you may get, any money that you already had in there that was actually yours, right? Before you did this fraud. If you credit worthy, if you do have good credit, they might, I don't know for sure, but some banks, when you have a large check that go bad, and because they wrote it on their own account, they might can extend them a loan. But here's the thing: this scenario right here, the loan part, is if you took a check and you did not know it was fraud. These people that did this scheme and scam, they're going to figure out who was actually a part of this that got money. And I don't think any of these offers right here will be on the table for you. I feel like it's going to be check fraud. And some of the people were even trying to take and send the money to another account. So I don't know, selling it to another account or whatever. Once the funds looked like it was available, they were trying to shift the money to another account. So now you have check fraud. And if you were able to send the money to another bank account that you have, now you have wire fraud. Okay. Because now you brought another bank involved. Say you have Chase Bank and you're a Bank of Navy Fed. If you took that money that you knew you didn't have and sent it over there to Navy Fed via Zelle or however you did it, now you got wire fraud. You got check fraud, you got wire fraud, you got bank fraud. All federal time. Okay. We're talking about civil penalties, we're talking about criminal penalties. Okay. We talking about some serious money, and we're talking about some serious jail time right here. This is no laughing matter. This is a tragedy, because it's probably some people that really truly thought they was finna come up. And they and even as weird as me saying this, it might have been some really good people that might have really needed the money, dire straits. They might have needed it for food, whatever it is, might have been about to be put out their home. It's the first of the month. They might not have had their rent money. All countless of scenarios, whatever could have went down, and they might have just thought that this was a blessing for whatever reason. This blessing is really so-called blessing, and this so-called glitch is going to turn into a major curse for a lot of people. And I really feel bad, because, like I said, it's a lack of financial education and how the banking system works. And I don't care if it's the biggest bank in the US like Chase is, or the smallest bank. You don't want to be messing with these banks' money. Okay? You don't. And Chase ain't gonna lose no money. Even though they're $1 trillion bank, they're not gonna lose no money. These banks are too big to fail. The government will bail these banks out. We already know about government bailouts with large banks. Okay. Bank of America have been bailed out. Wells Fargo have been bailed out. Chase have been bailed out. All these large banks, they'll get bailed out. But you won't get bailed out, because Chase ain't going to chase you down for their money. They're going to send you to jail. And they got all your information because you did it out your own account. Okay. Or if you allow somebody to rope you into a scheme saying, okay, if you deposit this fake check into your account, you could keep this amount and give me so much a percentage of it, and then they long gone, and you're left with the bag, right? And I try my best on this channel to keep y'all up on these scams. I just talked about the check scam that's going around right now with the young kids on Instagram. People looking at their pictures and hitting them up in the DM and saying, hey, I want to buy your picture. Just did a video on that last month, and I was on Reddit, I think it was last night or the night before, where somebody got scammed. I was like, I just talked about that, because people are sending folk Fake checks are either trying to get you to mobile deposit a screen. They're sending you a fake electronic a check through an email or something and telling you that you can mobile deposit this check. And like the article said, it's usually more than what they say they're gonna pay you for. So you got a nice picture on Instagram. They say they want to use it for marketing or whatever. They say, okay, I'm gonna pay you 2,000 for it, but they send you a fake $3,000 electronic check. And he was like, well, what I supposed to do with this other thousand? Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to send you that much. But instead of me voiding the check, can you just send me the other thousand and you just keep the 2,000 and we just call it even? And you're like, okay, cool. They got a free $1,000, and now your account's gonna be in the negative for $3,000. Or if you had the money in it, now you done lost that money and they're long gone. The whatever account they use to contact you with is gonna be no longer there, right? There's nobody for you to report this fraud to when you go to the police, because guess what? They're gone. They a figment of your imagination now. All right. So we got to stay off the internet and falling for every scam that's coming out there, especially these banking scams, because there's no such thing as free money, right? Especially when it comes to banks. Banks ain't giving out no free money, because you got to think about this, guys. I want you to think about this logically. If there was free money to give, why wouldn't the people that work at the bank get the free money first? We wouldn't even know about the money in the regular public. Man, that be done went through that free money before we can even think there's free money out there, right? So a lot of times we just gotta use our common sense. That's how a lot of people that think that they got away with that PPP loan stuff back from 2020 and 2021. They thinking they got away with it because the Fed ain't came knocking. But the Fed got 10 years to investigate, because Joe Biden put that into law, that they had 10 years to investigate this thing. So they're going to still be investigating this thing to 2031. So it's a lot of people that still thinking that they done got away with that just because they ain't caught up with them, or they still building a case against them. So if you want to have a case built against you, okay, keep following these trends or whatever that these folk telling you to tap in on TikTok and all these other platforms that don't know anything about how the banking system works, don't know any financial literacy, and is going to get you in trouble, okay? Because if you don't go to jail, you're going to be paying Chase all these bukus of thousands of dollars that you do not have. Let's just keep it 100. You're talking about money that you do not have. And you're going to be in a worse off situation than you was when you thought you was getting a glitch of free money. Okay? So we just got to be more smart about how we doing things. I know right now, so much stuff is expensive. Housing is expensive. Transportation is expensive. Our food is expensive. Insurance is going up. It's so many things. And I understand that. So there's a lot of people that are living from paycheck to paycheck. Even people that make six figures are living from paycheck to paycheck. It's people that don't think they'll ever be able to afford to buy their own home. And I mean, it's crazy out here. I understand that. But we still got to do things the right way. Okay. There is no shortcut. There is no free lunch, as they said. Especially the bank ain't out here passing out money. Okay, they're not. Let's keep it 100. They're not giving out free money. And there's no glitches. It's just us not having the financial literacy. That's what it is. Okay. So I was going to pull up some more clips, but y'all get it. I ain't got to pull up nothing else. I don't. I don't have to pull up anything else as far as clips and all that stuff. Y'all get it. We just got to make sure that we are educating ourselves and knowing that this digital age that we're in, that the paper money, checks, a lot of those instruments are going to be obsolete. Okay. And we're only going to be on the digital, where it's all between these fintech apps like Venmo and all that, Zelle and stuff that we're using to transfer money between banks, and our debit cards and our credit cards. Every time we have stuff like this with this check fraud, checks are going to eventually be gone away. They're barely being used now. You barely can go in a place and write a check, you know. You barely can do that. And the more things like this going to happen, the more people like myself that write a check for a paper trail for important business stuff that I do every month. I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to have to find another way. Okay. So and people that really rely on the ATM to make their deposits because they can't go into a branch because they might work where every time they either go in or they're getting off, the branches are closed. And they rely on using the ATM for their deposits. But I guarantee you that the check availability policy for Chase will be changing. I guarantee it. And I'm not a Chase customer, but anybody that is a Chase customer, they're going to suffer from this. That's who's going to suffer from this. From these people that don't understand that it ain't no free lunch. The ones that do right are the ones that always suffer for the ones that are doing wrong. And so that's my 2 cents on it. You guys make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you cut on the notifications. So when all this crazy stuff come out, y'all know when I'm gonna go live. Y'all know when I'm gonna be bringing this information to you, so that we gonna be financially literate over here. We gonna know what's going on because I'm gonna make sure we know what's going on over here. So y'all need to make sure that you're tapped into this channel, right? And not them scammers, right? Tap into this channel so that you get your financial literacy on, right? Make sure you subscribe, you like the video, you share it with anybody else. Please share these videos with these young people because that's who is the one that's going to get messed up for life, y'all. You know, us old heads, you know, we see the foolery and Lord have mercy, you know, but we got to protect these babies that don't have no clue and they're going to ruin their life. They're going to ruin their future. Right now, they're not thinking about it because they're young. They feel like they got all the time in the world. But when you mess up your banking account, when you mess up your bank account, let's talk about that real quick before I get off this live. When you mess up your banking account with somebody like Chase, do you know how hard it's going to be for you to get another account with another bank? There's something called check systems. Okay, if you owe Chase thousands of thousands of thousands of dollars, best believe ain't no other bank account, ain't no other bank gonna give you no bank account, right? You might not can't even get an account with Chime, and Chime is a fintech company, right? You're gonna have to do better unless you want to be at the mercy of payday companies, check cashing companies. I don't know, liquor store, wherever you cash your checks at, other than a bank, where you got to pay buku of money to cash your checks. That's what you're going to be at the mercy of if we're not treating these banks as banks. You need banks, y'all. Y'all need banks. One day you're going to want to buy a home. One day you may want to get a car with a good interest rate, and you're not going to be able to do that if your credit is jacked up because you owe the bank $50,000 because you wrote a bad check, right? You're not going to be able to do these things. We too busy trying to live for the moment, and I guarantee you, the majority of the people that stole that money, if they did get away with it, they probably did nothing productive with it. So now their account messed up. They owe this bank all this money, and they probably did nothing with it. They probably did nothing with it. Nothing that was going to help their life. I seriously doubt it. I'm trying to give people the benefit of the doubt that maybe somebody that actually did it might have really needed the money. Like I said, it's rent time, da 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 da. They might have tried to do right about it, even though it's still wrong. But I'm willing to bet 90% of the people that did do it, they probably just messed that money up on silly stuff. And they're going to have to pay for this with their life. Whether that's financially or doing time in federal jail or both. 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be both when you're messing around with Chase if you ain't got their money, especially if they link you back to this fraud. And the majority of these people that's doing this fraud, they done posted it on their social media. They done posted it on their social media because they're bragging because they want you to tap in. They want to show you they got the bands. They showing you the money, right? They showing you they show themselves walking away from the ATM with the money. Just dumb as a bag of rocks. I just don't know what to say for I just don't know what to say, y'all. I just don't know what to say for us. We just got to do better. We do. We got to do better. We do. So anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox again, guys. Make sure that y'all subscribe, like this video, leave me some comments, let me know what you feel, what you think about this whole situation, and keep those notifications on so anytime this foolery is going on, y'all know firsthand what's going on from me. And like I said, I like to give it to you from the banking perspective. When I see these things, I like to give it to you from the perspective of the bank. So y'all make sure y'all tap into the good stuff. Okay. Thank you again, and I will catch you guys on the next live.